Good day everyone, and my name is Nick. Hope this week has treated you well and good things have happened. If good things haven't happened, well, it's just that they're bound to happen next week as we speed towards Christmas with the speed of a speed train. Speed of a speed train, that quite works. Now, this week's 2-week roundup is probably the hardest one possibly I've ever had to try and put the 6 games we reviewed in any particular order. We don't include the revisited series in those, where I've looked back at Spectrum games I've already reviewed. We just look at new games we haven't looked at before. Well, retro games we haven't looked at before. Now, the reason I find the 6 this time hard to place, that none stood out as a super brilliant game and all had their flaws in some sort of fashion, which is a question of which one was the least flawed, which one was the most enjoyable, and overall sound graphics the best, and also for the era. But before we come to those, of course, as you're used to, let's look at the 2 tables we looked at the Pinball and the Pinball Arcade as we zip through Season 5 by Pinball Arcade. Well, it's called Pinball Arcade by Farsight Studios, as you know. The first one we looked at is the second table, or is it third table? No, second table in the series. It's F14 Tomcat, which I'm reliably informed that F14 Tomcat is also the plane you control in Afterburner, but that doesn't feature in this table. It's a basic-ish table, but it's a lot of fun. There's 2 main ramps, if you can call them that, a red side and a blue side. And before I in the ball up there, you activate dogfights with enemy fighters, and there's some curious ball locks in the middle, which aren't too difficult to get. Some amazing kickbacks in one of the battle modes there, but all around a pretty addictive and good table. I think the real life table is a little bit more of a challenge than the digital conversion, but it converts it really well. So yet again, another good table from Farsight Studios, and that will come out as a DLC, as did the next one in 2015. For some reason, Farsight released the first 3 in the season in 2015, then there's a huge gap, and then they released the other 8, because there's 11 in Season 5 in 2016. I think they're trying to convert everything to every system, and it's a lot of work, isn't it? But I hope they're making a lot of money. And the second table we looked at, pretty spooky this, quite good lighting effects, I must admit. It's Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Yes. Now, it's based on the Frankenstein from the actual novel, I believe, rather than the classic homogenized view of Frankenstein's monster, where you have the green head and the big bolts, as you would see in the Munsters and cartoons, and also portrayed on the table Monster Bash. Check that one out, that's heaps of fun. But this, I think it's based on the remake in the film. It was set in the 70s there. It's quite a good table. You can have quite a good long go on this. A few things to unlock, and it's got, which is I'm always a fan of on these tables, a rotating head. Well, it doesn't completely rotate, looks left to right, which is a Frankenstein monster himself. And as I say, lots of lightning and speech effects. Have a look at that one as well. Out of the 2, I think F14 is probably a bit more playable, but I do love that Frankenstein table. So yep, let's come to the top 6. As I say, I could have put these in any order probably. I mean, it's pretty much the muchness this week, so yeah. In 6th place, I'm afraid, was Action Fighter on the Commodore. What did I do that on? That was on the what was that on? That was on the Commodore Amiga. It definitely was. Because the reason why I'm getting confused is I've reviewed this on a few systems. Let's start again. Action Fighter on the Commodore Amiga by Firebird in 1988. Now, when I reviewed this on the ZX Spectrum, it was all in monochrome, and I didn't really like it that much. And it's featured in 6th place on the Commodore Amiga. Now, it's better than the 8-bit version because it does have colour to it. But where it suffers is, well, the game is pretty. It's a spy hunter clone, if you're familiar with that game. Now, although the game is quite quick, it's sort of fun early on because you start off on a motorbike and then progress to a Porsche, and the game moves quite fast. Then every so often a lorry comes up, you drive up the ramp to get certain weapons to upgrade your car. And it gets to a point where wings track to the car and then it takes to flight. So you think this must be quite exciting then, that bit. And the whole game really slows down to be a rather mundane and a rather slow shoot 'em up game. And it really suffers and looks poor. It could do without that. I played the game with a cheat mode activated, as I quite often do. I fear I can't get very far in the game because I want to show you a bit, at least how it plays, a bit of the graphics, a bit of the sound. It's a little uninspiring, this one. As I say, better than the 8-bit versions, but yeah, I put it in 6th place really. Not really much going on really. I prefer Spy Hunt on the Spectrum, but I think you have to grow up. I think you have to grow up with those games to actually get that nostalgia bug. You know what I mean, don't you? Thank you. I'm sure you've got games yourself that no one else likes or thinks much of, but because you had it as a kid and played it to death, it holds a certain mental value there. In 5th place, moving on, is NARC, short for narcotics. This is called NARC on the ZX Spectrum. 128k this time by Ocean in 1990, so 2 years after Action Fighter, although one would argue graphically it's an inferior system. When I say inferior, that's the wrong word again. It's an earlier system, let's say, because both are good. This game, I've also reviewed this one on the Commodore Amiga. It's a bit of vice versa. It's for 1 to 2 players. It's like a beat 'em up game, a horizontal scroller, and basically you have to keep on moving to avoid people. You get attacked by dogs and it's level to level, but the problem with this game is it moves so incredibly slow. It's a bit of a shame really, because if they had less enemies on screen, it'd probably move a bit quicker. And also as well, at the same time, the computer's trying to program like a scanner, a bit like Defender, if you're aware of that, where it's got like a map in the top centre which is telling you where all the enemies are, and that's not really needed. If you beat up all the enemies, they just keep regenerating, respawning and come back on the screen. It's attempting a lot. Graphically it's really good. Playability suffers, although some people again will have it as a favourite. Other weeks it wouldn't have come 5th maybe. Well, I don't really know really. The playable's not really there, so I'll put it in 5th place. And in 4th place, gonna get a bit of a deja vu here, but it's a game I previously reviewed on the Commodore Amiga, yeah, and didn't like it. It's a 4x4 Offroad Racer by US Gold in 1988 again, so quite tightly knit these first 3 games. You take the choice of either 1 or 3 cars, and going along a course you must jump over rivers, avoid obstacles, get to the next stage, upgrade your car, that sort of thing, and move on. Now this 8-bit version is better than the Commodore Amiga's 16-bit version, all because it seems to run a bit quicker. It's a bit more playable. Load times are exceptionally long though on this, so I had to edit the video down a bit. And it's a shame with some Spectrum games, they do suffer from long loading times, which takes away the playability a little bit. You're not going to go in, have a quick go and then get out again. And also that lends it a bit to a tape loading error, which occasionally would happen. It changes the colour from scene to scene. As I say, I prefer this one over the 16-bit version, but it's not brilliant. It's okay. In 4th place. So in 6th place we had Action Fighter on the Commodore Amiga, definitely, by Firebird in 88. 5th place NARC by Ocean in 1990, and in 4th place 4x4 Offroad Racer by US Gold in 1988. So let's come to the top 3. In 3rd place, come out on the PC first of all, this one, so Wolfenstein 3D by BAM Entertainment in 2002. It came out on the Game Boy Advance after Doom and Doom 2 and Duke Nukem Advance, and it's in that sort of genre. It's a first-person shooter where you sort of explore a maze, going through doors, shooting people around corners, and finding keys and generally escaping. Now, although this game came out after Doom on the Game Boy Advance, it was before on the PC versions, and they'd done a complete port of the PC version, so what you got is a game that's more outdated than the ones before it, which is never good. Not too many textures here, and basically you wander around. You have to escape from the Nazis, essentially, who have you captured in a castle. It's okay for historic purposes. I put it in 3rd place. Could have come 4th, could have come 5th. I wouldn't put it 6th though. Okay, that's 2002. In 2nd place, another game on the Game Boy Advance, as that last one was, Star X by BAM Entertainment again, in 2002. So same year as Wolfenstein 3D. Quite ambitious, this game. It's a 3D polygon fighting. You must escape an alien planet by going over different terrain. Again, there's a lot going on the screen. It suffers a little bit from a draw rate, and it takes a bit of getting used to, I'm told, but the targeting mechanism is not brilliant, so it makes control, it hinders the game ever so slightly, but it is impressive for the Game Boy Advance, so check that one out. You must collect weapons and at the end defeat end level bosses. On the time I played it, I was unaware you could release smart bombs, so I made a bit of a meal of it just using the normal laser. So if you do it, try and work out how to do the bombs, and it'd probably be easier beating the end level Guardians there. That was a Star X. And top of the shop this time, still a flawed game, but I put it at number 1 because it just looks visually stunning. It's not really what you'd expect. It's on the Commodore Amiga. It's a 2D horizontal scroller, and it's called Disposable Hero by Gremlin Graphics in 1993. Looks really special, that this one. Again, you have to get used to the weapon system, which I've sort of like negated to try and whiz through and show you a lot of the game. Really pretty mid and end of level bosses. Very, very difficult, but I find all these 2D scrollers pretty difficult and not really my forte of gameplay. A bit of an undiscovered gem, this one, visually, I'd say. Again, a lot of people won't know this. I still prefer Project X to this, but some people will have this as their favourite. And out of the 6 we did this week, it does come top of the shop, and rightfully so, although a little flawed in my opinion, isn't actually perfect. So 3rd place was Wolfenstein 3D by BAM in 2002. 2nd place, Star X, again by BAM in the same year. On both those on the Game Boy Advance, and in 1st place Disposable Hero by Gremlin Graphics in 1993. So again, as I always say, thank you for watching the games this time, not just them, the Spectrum Revisited series, the occasional rants I do, or the vlog. So one week we do the Roundup, and the next week we do this sort of like well, the vlog about a subject or about the channel in general. So that's me for this week. Have a fantastic weekend, and until next time, take great care of yourself, and a very fond goodbye.
Goodbye.